Kevin J. Johnston, the #1 name. In the land of the North, he's risen to fame. 40 years deep in the law he's read. Now the CRA shakes in fear and dread. Stop paying tax forever, my friend. With Kevin J. Johnston, the fight doesn't end. Corporate debt, he'll make it all good. He's the man the CRA misunderstood. They vanish like mist when Kevin shows up with his legal fist. No more matching, no more lies, just clean-cut books and clear blue skies. Stop paying tax forever, my friend. With Kevin J. Johnston, the rules start to bend. The CRA can scream and shout, but Kevin knows how to throw them out. They claim they've got the final say, but Kevin proves there's a better way. He fights for truth, he fights for you, and teaches what the courts won't do. Forever today. Let Kevin J. Johnston show you the way. The expert, the rebel, the man with a plan. He's saving this nation, one client per hand. He's got 40 years of tax law knowing and corporate skills that keep cash flowing. And GST payroll all in line. He'll save your neck and every dime. He studied law, both civil crime, and makes tax code sound so sublime. With stand-up jokes and punchlines tight, he makes your seminar a night of light. Kevin J. CRA just runs away. He's the tax manslayer with a legal plan, the best-looking genius in the land. Kevin J. Taking all your tax away. If the government's scared, then it's safe to say he's the hero of the North, Kevin J. 2 million women cast their vote, said Kevin's hot, that's all she wrote. The suits at CRA can't compete, he's beaten them clean without deceit. 100 mil he's saved so far, he's raising truth like a legal star. And if you think you owe the state, he'll show you how to terminate. Kevin J. CRA just runs away. He's the tax manslayer with a legal plan, the best-looking genius in the land. Kevin J. Taking all your tax away. If the government's scared,
Kevin J. Johnston here. Welcome to the Tax and Money Show, episode number 106. The Tax and Money Show is every single Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on freedomreport.ca. Tonight's show is your comments, my answer, game on. And man, do we have a lot of foolish things that everybody have been saying online, on my social media and so on. And we're going to cover quite a few of them tonight. I've got 24 slides I want to power on through, but don't forget, everybody, I'm currently buying Instagram and TikTok channels. That's right. Head over to my website, kevinjjohnston.com, hit the contact button, and let me know that you want to sell me your TikTok or your Instagram channel. Love to take those off your hands, because I keep getting shut down on Instagram. Lord knows why. I have no idea what I'm saying that Mark Zuckerberg hates so much, but here we are. I've got to buy more channels. So far this year, we have bought 11, and I don't name them, with my name, because I think Zuckerberg just doesn't like me somehow, or for some reason. I have no clue what that reason is. Never met the man. I don't want to meet the man. I mean, I would meet him for a photo op, mainly to tell him that his platform sucks and that he sucks as a human being and so on. But that would be fruitless. Absolutely fruitless. I'm a millionaire, but he's a billionaire. So, what would it matter to him? I mean, I would love, and I wouldn't do it, but I absolutely would love to see him fall out of an airplane without his parachute on. That would bring me great joy. What I would do is follow him out, making sure I wore the parachute with the camera running. Hey guys, I'm live on Instagram. Check this out. Wouldn't that be wonderful? A man can dream. A man can dream. All right, guys, let's dive right into this. The point of tonight's show is, everybody, that there are so many naysayers out there on my social media who are wrong in the comments that they make, or foolish in the comments that they make, and I want to address those now. I don't back down from would-be arguments if the argument makes sense from an educational standpoint. If someone says, I hate your hair, I hate your shoes, I hate your mom, I hate whatever, we don't care about that nonsense. That's just trolls being trolls. Sometimes it's not trolls. Sometimes it's really angry, lonely individuals who just want to try to get a rise out of me. And you know what I do when the trolls show up? Block and forget they exist. It used to be really bad, everyone, just so you know, on TikTok. Whenever I first got into TikTok, I got to say 5 years ago, is that there would be people who would get onto my live feeds and they would troll, and they'd throw a bunch of newspaper articles up about me that were less than laudable. And I blocked them. And within 10 minutes, they had created a brand new TikTok channel specifically to get back onto my live feed and insult me. I wish I had that much free time, don't you? Man, we just block them, and we don't care about the trolls. So let's dive right into it, shall we? So here's a comment from Nick C.A. How often do you actually have to do taxes? If you miss a couple of years, what happens? Now, someone makes the comment here, nothing. You legally have up to 7 years to pay into your taxes before it is tax evasion. I only do my taxes once every 6 years because F the government. I've been penalized once. All right, well, 7 years, 10 years, 14 years, 86 years, you're not doing prison time in Canada because you didn't do a tax return. There is no 7-year rule. There is no 7-year law. It's a matter of, if you don't feel like doing your taxes, don't do your taxes. But they will assess you eventually. An assessment is fraud. They take a wild guess as to what you owe. Now, usually they'll do it to try to get you to do your taxes. And at that point, we'll do your taxes for you at zero and get rid of the assessment. Next person says here, no, the interest isn't very much, and it's yearly, not monthly. I owe $5,000. And I have for 4 years now. It's only gone up about $100 each year. Why let it build? Well, let's just get your taxes done. We will redo the taxes for that tax year, because you are allowed to do and redo your taxes 10 times per tax year. You're allowed to do that. So if you don't get the result you're looking for, we always object to the tax that we get back from the CRA. And then we just redo the taxes. In the objection game, the CRA are the ones who are looking at their own work. And of course, they're going to side with themselves. fine, but that buys us 90 days to a year for us to just redo your taxes and resubmit them. So when we resubmit the same tax year with a couple of dollar difference, someone different is going to look at those taxes and scrutinize them. Eventually, we're going to get the result that we're looking for. There we go. Next one. This guy shows up on my TikTok from time to time, calls himself Remax Pino. He says to me on a video where I'm telling all of you, do not report capital gains to the CRA. Now, why would I say that? Is because it's line 12,700, and no, there are not 12,000 lines on your tax return. They name and number these lines stupidly. But if you fill that out, if you put even $1 down as a capital gain, there are 3 other forms you got to fill out, and they're lengthy. And CPAs charge $2,000 to $10,000, sometimes more, to fill them all out. So you go, you buy a house, you pay the mortgage off, you sell the place. Now you're going to write down on a tax return, I sold this house for a profit. And then you're going to have to go and hire someone for 10 grand to do paperwork that you don't want to do. And you legally don't got to do. Only to find out that you owe tax. So you're paying someone to tell you that you owe tax. So he says to me, when I bring this up about not reporting capital gains, this is meaningless, he says. The government already knows what was bought and sold, etc., because it's on record with land transfer tax. They know if you sold your rental property or home, etc. They are the government, laugh out loud. But let's break that down, shall we? How many of you out there watching this show right now have ever met an intelligent government employee in Canada? Go on. I'll wait 6 years while one of you thinks about putting your hand up. We're up against the government, but the government hires the worst dregs of humanity. People who have exceptionally low IQs. People who do not know how to function in society. Social outcasts. Outcasts of all kinds. We're talking people that could never hold a job in the private sector. That's who works for the government. So it's not like we're talking about competent people here at all. The next thing that I wanted to bring up here is that if you sell a house, sure, the land registry office is going to know about it. But the CRA, they do random checks on communities once in a while. It'll be years before yours comes up. And if they send you off a letter saying, our records show that you had a capital gain, then we send in a legal letter on your behalf saying, your records are incorrect. We do not have any capital gains of any kind. Do not contact us again, lest we charge you with extortion, fraud, criminal harassment, and intimidation. All right. And if they send you a second letter, that's when you hire me and my private investigators to track down that individual at home, and we can serve them the letter there. They don't like that. Government employees, and I know this because I used to do it all the time, government employees freak out when you go to their homes because they think that they've got immunity. They think they can behave like maniacs and criminals during their business day, interfering with your life. But when you take your fight with them to their home, they break. Not one of these people that I've taken the fight to their homes ever stood up and fought with me on it. No, don't you ever come back here. Oh, they never went out and got themselves a restraining order to keep me away from the property. They hid behind their doors and called the cops. There you go, everyone. That is what we want to make sure here. That all of you understand that we are dealing with incompetent, not so intelligent, gutless people who will cave in if you bring the fight to their front door. And I'm not saying use violence. You don't have to hit them. Don't slash their tires. Don't burn their houses down. Don't do that, okay? Just that's illegal. But as a process server, and if you have a legal document to serve, then you are a process server by the legal definition. You can stand on someone's porch and ring the doorbell all night long. And if the cops come by, they'll tell you once you show them, this is the lawsuit that I'm serving this person. I've identified the person on this lawsuit behind that door, and I'm not leaving until I serve them. They can't interfere. The cops could actually be charged with obstruction of justice. Think about that. So everyone, it doesn't matter that the land registry office knows about it. What matters is what kind of a fool are you going to be up against should they bring it to your attention? But everybody, if you move your house, condo, farm, townhome, any property you have into a numbered corporation, the land registry office is going to record that a corporation either transferred the house or sold the house, and that numbered corporation is not you. So the numbered corporation gets hit with the capital gain. But if you've listened to my show ever, then you'll know that you're not supposed to have yourself listed as the director of that corporation. If it's Ronald Reagan or Donald Trump or Vladimir Putin, they're not going to find you. So you can bury the corporation or sell it to me, and the capital gain tax is gone. Just a matter of knowing the rules, everybody, which, of course, this Remax Pinot guy, don't hire him to sell a house for you, doesn't seem to understand. He's so ingrained in the system that he believes the system is actually good for him, and it's not. And just because someone might think the system is good for them or good in general does not mean the system is good. And even if it was, does not mean I need to participate in it. I am not ever in this lifetime going to cooperate with any branch of government unless they pay me to do so. I just got into it with a lawyer today. I bought a corporation in Ontario. I'm not going to tell you the name of the corporation, but that corporation had a lawyer. And the lawyer said, you got to pay us our legal bill. And I said, go F yourself. I don't give lawyers anything. You're not my lawyer. You just happen to be the lawyer that was attached to that corporation when I bought it. Fungulo, get out of here. But you know what's hilarious is in order for them to be removed as the lawyer of record, they've got to file a motion in the court. So they sent over this book. It's like this thick of all these reasons and case laws to why they should be removed. But I already told them in a very nasty email, I don't care about you. I don't care about your stupid court proceedings. I don't care about the rules. Just F off and leave me alone. You're fired. Good. There you go. That should be enough to get rid of a lawyer, don't you think? But no, they've actually got to go through the rigmarole of having a hearing, an actual motion in the court this coming Monday. Now, for those of you who have ever done business with me, you would know that Mondays and Wednesdays and Saturday mornings are my busiest days seeing clients. I've got clients that have paid for spots to meet with me face-to-face 6 months ago. You think for a second I'm going to screw some client over to go into virtual court and say, hello, Your Honor, my name is Kevin J. Johnston. I bought the corporation. I don't know this lawyer here. If the lawyer's fired, get rid of him. I'm not even wasting my time showing up. It's a complete joke. This Pinot guy probably believes that I should go to court and I should do all these silly little things in there. All right. Anyway, my comment to him publicly was, so you're just going to surrender and hand your money over without a fight? There we are. Save your questions for the last half of the show, folks. Next guy, he calls himself Halal Jihadist, says Canada has a tax court and the Income Tax Act is the legal law which the tax court governs over. You can ignore CRA, but you cannot ignore the tax law. No amount of blustering changes this. This guy knows nothing. Right? He has no idea what he's talking about. Okay. First off, in Canada, tax court is not a real court. It's a tribunal, and tribunals have no jurisdiction over equity. The tax court is just a tribunal that hears appeals about government agencies making decisions. So if you get a fishing ticket, like you're fishing without a license, you take it to tax court. If you're selling tobacco without a license and you get a ticket for that, you take it to tax court. If you don't like what the CRA is doing, you take them to tax court. If the CRA doesn't like you, they take you to tax court. It's a tribunal. You know how I know this? The judges don't wear a red sash, which is required to be known as a judge in Canada. They wear a purple sash, which means goof, nothing, fool, loser, time waster. That's what that means, everybody. So this guy here says the Income Tax Act is the legal law. No, the Income Tax Act is a series of rules. Yes, they were legislated, but that just means it went through the House of Commons. It doesn't mean it's law. It just means that someone had a piece of paper in their hand And they walked over to somebody and said, read this. And someone went, blah, 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 and everyone went like this. And the backbenchers went, you know how they slap on their desk? And the Speaker of the House said, blah, 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 blah. And then the Prime Minister said, nah, 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 nah. And everyone went on the one side, and everyone else went on the other side. That's Parliament. Now you know how things get through Parliament. It's a whole bunch of losers making a whole bunch of noise in a really expensive room. That's all that it is. It's theater. So the Income Tax Act are the rules that the CRA must follow. That's it. They don't pertain to you and I because you and I do not work for the CRA. Yes, you can ignore the CRA in its entirety. You don't have to do anything they say because they're not cops. And you don't have to do what the cops say either. All right? You've got the right to remain silent. Exercise it. So whoever this halal jihadist guy is, he's wrong and has no clue what he's talking about. All right, next. Someone named Jack144. Federal means agreement. Employees are in agreement, thus subject to acts, statutes, policies, etc. Not anywhere will you see it say a man or a woman must have a duty or obligation for compensation for their labor because that is slavery. That is actually correct. All right. Now, I got to be careful with this because that kind of borders a little bit on free man on the land. And I don't do that stuff. I'm not a sovereign citizen, and I don't encourage you to listen to those folks. But keep this in mind, everybody, is that you, in the eyes of the law, are a person. And if you read Black's Law Dictionary, then you would know that a person is a corporation. That is why you have a 9-digit social insurance number. And that's why every corporation in Canada has a 9-digit social insurance number. You're persons. So ladies, the suffragettes who were fighting saying, oh, women are not persons under the law, and they fought for you to become persons under the law, they turned you into corporations. Women didn't pay tax. They didn't have the right to vote, but they didn't pay tax either. Now you do. So you should blame the suffragettes for that. That was a bad move on their part. If you are not a person, then you would be a slave to the government because you'd be recognized as a man or a woman, as a human being, not a person. So that's a complex thing. There are many lectures out there on that, but you just got to be careful who you listen to. All right. So then he also says your social insurance number are employee numbers. You might want to limit your association in any way, shape, or form there too, unless, of course, you're actually doing traffic in society for profit. All right. I don't have my social insurance number anymore. I turned that in 26 years ago. Told them, guys, I don't want this thing. There's no benefit to me. You know, and the most that any Canadian who's about to be 65 is going to get from the government through Canada Pension Plan is $1,500. But the average is $800. So why pay tax? Why pay into the Canada Pension Plan? It's retarded to do so. This guy's right. Next comment. All right. So Ray Marie says, my accountant wants me to submit the sale of my property, primary residence. I don't want to. Do I have to? Someone named Soupy says, primary residence? I don't know why that is necessary, but you shouldn't have to pay tax on the sale of a primary. Okay. In so far, they're going to change the law. But in Canada right now, if you live in your house, that's your primary residence, you can sell that house completely tax-free. All right, that's it. It's not counted as income tax, and it's not counted as a capital gain. But if you have a rental property and you do something silly like put it in your personal name, and then something sillier like report it to the CRA, naturally they're going to want to get their hands on the capital gain when you sell that rental property. The rental property needs to go into a corporation because that will not be your primary residence. But let's just say you're married and as a couple, you buy a rental property. One of you change your driver's license to the rental house. The other one, keep it where it is. Ta-da! You got two primary residences there. And now you're no longer going to be subject to capital gains when you sell the rental property. Isn't that genius? Better yet, both houses should be in their own numbered corporation, and the CRA knows nothing about them so long as, of course, you exercise your right to remain silent. Ergo, shut the F up. All right, next. Papa Bear. And this one's got a fleur-de-lis. And I think it's the trans flag on his profile, which says, pay your taxes, people. Well, Papa Bear, why don't you pay all of our taxes? How's that sound? To what benefit is there in paying taxes? Canada's healthcare system is like 64, 65 in the world. Education is like 48 in the world. The kids that come out of Canadian schools have zero knowledge of anything to take into adulthood with them. The entire Canadian infrastructure is completely crumbling, everybody. The highways are garbage. We have got no new airports in Canada in how long? 20 years? Have you seen Edmonton and Vancouver airports? Those buildings should be condemned. Toronto Airport. Look at the size of the entire Greater Toronto area. It's like 7 million people. And it's got a piece of garbage airport there. The airport sucks. We're not getting any value for our tax dollars. So you know what? No, I'm not going to pay any tax in Canada. And all of you remember what I told you before. I used to be a wartime journalist. I've been to war zones, ugly war zones. And I know that the Canadian government was funding wars in Lesotho, Nigeria, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Myanmar, Bangladesh. Now, I had to stop being a wartime journalist, everybody, because the death and despair and the bodies that I was seeing all over the place got to me after a while. And it got to me even more so that I knew it was my government paying for all that death and destruction. No, I'm not paying tax. Next one, Jay Stewart. If the CRA has no power, how do they have the authority to garnish people's wages? They don't. What they do is they send a half threat letter to your employer. And the half threat says you are required to give us half of your staff member's salary. And if you don't, this is where they protect themselves, we may hold you accountable for that. Now, if you had a spine and you got that letter, you could be polite in your first commentary letter back to the CRA saying, we have received your letter. We do not appreciate you trying to tell us how to run our business. You're demanding that we steal money from a staff member of ours, and you have granted us no court order nor any evidence whatsoever to back your claims. Get a court order. Do not contact us again until you do. That is what you would tell the CRA if you have a spine, which most Canadian employers don't. And they all say the same thing. We have to do it. It's the government. Who cares if it's the government? You don't have to do a goddamn thing. So if you're an employer out there and you do take money from your staff, you're scum. You're filth. You're also a criminal. That's theft, just so you know. Stop being a coward. Stand up for yourself. Stand up for the people that make you money. Yeah. My team is big now, and I can't make millions, plural, of dollars if I don't have a good team. Don't think for a second I'm ever going to take money away from my team because some loser at the CRA or even some cop tells me to. Get a court order. Now, I will appeal the court order. That's a promise. I'm not going to cooperate. I'm going to push it to the very end. Eventually, they'll just get tired of it and give up. Don't steal from your staff, but that's how it works. The employer takes your money, not the CRA. Next one, C. Wolf says, you have to report the sale of your home, but if it's your principal residence, there are no capital gains owing except for very limited reasons. Okay, he's right. He's right. But your home should still not be in your name. It should be in a numbered corporation. One of the biggest reasons I say this is what happens if you get sued? The first thing everyone does is they look into where you live. It's really easy to follow people home. Everyone's distracted. Most people are talking on the phone when they're driving. You're not going to notice somebody following you. I mean, it's something that when I was in Canada, I paid attention to that because I used to be a process server where I would follow people for hours to get court papers served them. Now, I pay attention to people following me, but the average person doesn't. They'll find out where you live. They write down the address. They pull the records. Oh, look at that. John Smith owns this house. Now we can put a lien on this property and sue him. Yeah, that's how that works. So, everyone, this guy is correct. One of the few people that actually are when they make comments. Next one, Lone Wolf. So, Kevin, I heard that if you sell the corporation that owns your house, they would know that and go after you for the gains. Okay, that's actually not a dumb question. That's a very good one. If you have a house in a corporation and you sell the corporation, the house simply goes with it. No one knows. You don't even need a lawyer to close the deal because the house is not changing ownership. The corporation is changing ownership, and everything the corporation owns goes with it. However, if someone says, I don't want the corporation because I don't understand it, it's too much for me, it's just so big for me, oh my God, and I hear this stupidity all the time, by the way, you say, fine, I will sell you the house out of the corporation, but you're going to cover all the fees, which they usually do. And then from there, that corporation would now have a capital gain if you chose to report it, which I would highly recommend you don't. And if you're not the director, if you take my advice and you make Bugs Bunny the director of your corporation, guess what, everyone? That corporation can never have the debt collected upon. So that transaction, unfortunately for the CRA, but fortunately for all of you, goes into oblivion. From that standpoint, it is completely unrecoverable and you don't have to pay it. This is what I do, people. I make sure that y'all don't pay capital gains. This is actually a good question. Guys, keep your questions for the second half of the show, but this one's good. DW says, do you pay capital gains tax on dead parents' home that you rented for 3 years? Not if I'm your tax guy. Absolutely not. VR, doesn't the person have to exist on the corporation? Only in your mind. That's all. You are allowed in Canada to have an unlimited number of aliases. And I have friends who live in my anus. They pop out, they sign documents on my behalf, and they go right back in. And they hide until they're needed again. I think you understand exactly what I'm saying when I crack that joke. Okay. Gerard Stephen, ask that question in the second half of the show, please. Alrighty. Next one was BP Thump says, when I'm talking about not reporting capital gains, he says, this seems like American-style sovereign citizen mentality. Am I wrong? And then QC Bowhunter says, exactly, it'll get people in a lot of trouble. Well, I agree with that. It will get people in trouble. And I disagree with the fact that what I quote everybody is sovereign citizen nonsense. It's not. I avoid those people. I mean, I'll converse with them just to see what they've got to say. But by no means do they influence me. And I'm the first one to say, don't go down the road of the free man on the land when it comes to driving without a driver's license, because cops are not that intelligent. They're just going to arrest you and take your car. Don't squat on someone else's property and lay claim that you own the property now. Don't steal someone's stuff and say that it belongs to all mankind. Don't do that. If someone paid for something, it's theirs. Don't take other people's stuff and state that, oh, because I'm a free man on the land, I can take it. It's a crime. It's theft. Don't do that. Ever. Stay away from those people. Next one. Derek Lawrence Isama says, tax fraud results in jail. Dragging it out in the court is expensive. This is bad advice. Then he calls it good rage bait. Tax fraud is impossible for the CRA to prove. You need to actually willingly be defrauding the CRA, saying, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to rip off the CRA today, and I'm going to scheme. I'm going to cook up a plan. It's the same idea as first-degree murder. You have to plan it. Like, I'm going to get that guy, and you follow him for a year and learn his patterns, and you see everywhere this guy hangs out, and you write down every alleyway that you can hide in and so on. Yeah, that's planned. Right? You'd be guilty of first degree there. And when it comes to the CRA, if you're looking to just steal from the CRA, that would be fraud. But they still have to prove it. Now, income tax avoidance, that's what I do. I don't do income tax evasion. I do avoidance. And I do avoidance by following the law to the letter of the law. Do you know which law I follow, everybody? the Criminal Code of Canada. I do not break any of the laws in the Criminal Code of Canada. The CRA does. They break 22 crimes or laws, every day. I did a 22-part video series on the 22 top crimes the CRA commits on a daily basis. I would much rather be the guy who works in the gray. Black and white would be this. Black, I guess, would be stealing. White would be not stealing. But in the gray, if there are rules that say you do not have to tell the truth to the government, or you do not have to tell the government anything, those laws exist. Well, now I'm sitting in the gray. It's that easy. I have the right to remain silent. And communication can be done forth in any medium whatsoever. I'm currently speaking to you through social media. That's a medium. All right? I'm not going to come onto social media and tell you all of my secrets about life. You don't need to know how many hairs are on my head. You don't need to know how many hairs may or may not be on my back. You don't need to know who I may or may not be sleeping with, the names of any of my previous partners, the name of my ex-wife, the name of any future wife I will never have. You don't need to know any of that stuff. None of your business. And if you're going to ask questions like, oh, well, how much money do you have in the bank? None of your business. What kind of car do you drive? None of your business. What color underwear are you wearing? None of your business. There is a law and a constitution and a charter in Canada that says you do not have to answer any of those questions. And the same rules apply to that silly little tax return that the CRA wants you to fill out. They threaten you saying you can do jail time if you don't do it, but the CRA does not operate within criminal law. It's civil law. So anything that you write down on a piece of paper that the CRA wants you to, that's you contracting with the CRA. But it's still only civil law. And the CRA, as you all know, does not sue people. So this guy here is just trying to state that I'm wrong in my tax strategies. He's saying, oh, you're going to go to jail. Well, I took $400 million away from the CRA last year, everyone, and not one call from the cops. And as I've told you on this show many times, every single solitary police station in Canada has my phone number. They could call me anytime, and they haven't. Deacon Dark, excellent question. Can I just write 0 on my tax return? Name, social insurance number, signature, no numbers, not even a 0. Just send that in. And there's nothing that they can do about it. Next slide, everybody. Okay, so in this, I was saying, again, everyone, you don't have to pay capital gains. This guy names, my name is nobody, he calls himself. It does not work that way. According to the CRA, from the date of change of the use of your property, it is treated as if it was disposed of at fair market value. Capital gains will always be calculated on the gain from the purchase price minus costs. All right. Here's the way it works. It does not matter what date the CRA believes that you took control of a house, because you're not going to tell them. It is that easy, everyone. And it doesn't matter what the CRA says. They are not the law. They're just a bunch of collection agents. That's all they are. Losers. They're not even people. They're just creatures. So they got policies, but we don't work for the CRA. So it does work exactly as I say. All right. So someone says, wow, I've been renting out for years now, never reported anything. My friend owns dozens of properties, all rented out, never reports anything. Smart guy. If I had 12 houses that I was renting out, all 12 would be in 12 separate numbered corporations. It wouldn't be Bugs Bunny. It might be, Betty Boop. There you go. There's an obscure reference for you. Someone else is going to be the director of those homes, and any and all rent that I collect is going to go into a master account outside of Canada, and I'm not going to report any of those earnings to the CRA. And that's how that would work. Smart guy. Then this guy says, but if I'm reporting rental income for years and then not, and then you don't tell them, they will penalize. How do you address that? Making barely enough to eat, we can't afford lawyers to sue the CRA or pay fines. What is your answer, Kevin? Well, I'll tell you what the answer is. You can kick anybody out of your rental house anytime you want. Whether you do or don't, you can lie and tell the CRA that you did. If you have a rental house, you are allowed to kick out the renters with a court order and move in yourself. And now it's no longer rental income. So when they send their stupid letter off to you saying, oh, well, you didn't report your rental income, and they would only do that if you told them in previous years, folks, that you have rental income, please don't do that. You would have to send a simple legal letter off saying, hey, Dorkwad, pick some other name. I kicked out the renter and I live there now. Go o fungulo, whatever you want to tell them. You have the right to just tell the guy, sorry, you're not getting any more tax. Next, I love this one. User 817 whatever says, Google told me I have to report. Google gets a lot of stuff wrong. You got to remember what Google is. It is an absolute train wreck full of extremist left-wing nut jobs who believe the planet is flat. There's 560 genders, and they believe that demons live inside of a couple of current world leaders. They believe this stuff. It's weird. That's the kind of company that you're going to go to for answers of questions. I don't trust anything Google has to say at all. Let me look at any of its own AI answers to questions. It's almost always wrong. Look at YouTube. When that nonsense COVID stuff was on, as soon as someone said that there was no pandemic, what happened? YouTube would, boom, kill their channel. Just kill the channel right there on the spot. It was over. So, they're all culpable to homicide, every single one of them. That's what Google is. And they still do it today. You still, on YouTube, cannot offer your opinion on that ridiculous 3-year span. So Google got everything wrong. Do not go to Google for answers on anything. Next, Domingo says, can you provide info on how to avoid the $25,000 departure tax if someone chooses to leave Canada? There is no such thing. I don't know where you people get these ideas. It was tabled as a thought to review in the House of Commons. It was never reviewed in the House of Commons. It was tabled. That's it. There is no exit tax, period. However, and this is why I tell all of you to remain silent. Some of you are leaving Canada, which you should, and good for you. But everyone makes this big mistake. They get onto Facebook. I'm leaving Canada forever. And then they do it on Instagram. And then they do it on TikTok. And then they do it on all the other alternate media they've got. Then they call the CRA. I'm leaving Canada forever. Ugh. The CRA is going to immediately look into any property that you own, cars, gold, silver, houses, anything that you've ever reported. They're going to look at all of that, and they're going to tax you on the sale price profit, whether you sold it or not. It's called deemed disposition. So don't tell them. Just go. Just get on the plane like I did 2.5 years ago and go. As soon as you make a grandiose announcement, everyone starts sticking their hands out saying, oh, before you go, you'll be $10 and she owes me $140. And yeah, don't do that. Just shut up. Why does everyone feel the need to share their personal lives with everybody? I keep making this point here, everyone. Have I ever told you the real name of any ex-girlfriend of mine? Do any of you know what my kids' names are? Do any of you know what my dog's name is? Wait, do any of you know if I actually have a dog? I don't share any of those personal details with you. I tell you crazy stories from my life because some of them are highly entertaining, but they usually have an incredibly educational facet or component to them. I don't mind telling you those stories, but I'm not sharing personal details of my life or my finances with any of you. And you should not either. So please stop doing that. All right, next one. Arif Mahmoud says, am I eligible for capital gains tax exemption on a former rental property if I move into it and establish it as my primary residence? If I live there for at least 1 year, does that exempt the entire gain or only the portion from the time I moved in? And that's where Soccer Guy, this guy's a toolbox. He says, No, you'd owe tax on any gain between the date you purchased the property and the date you started living in there. Again, wrong answer. Absolutely wrong answer. What you're going to do is just state that you changed addresses, but you don't tell them what date. That's all. You do not have to declare anything with the CRA at all. It's just a good idea to make sure that you're going to get the mail that they send you. You can put your home address down as a mailbox. Yeah, nothing wrong with doing that. So many of you out there, though, have the CRA sending stuff to your home. That's crazy. The CRA sends everything of mine to one of two places: a mailbox or my lawyer's office. That's it. And they don't like that. But I don't care. I'm not here to make the CRA happy. Next comment here. So this Sandra lady, this is someone who, again, watched my video on do not pay capital gains. She says, so I'm confused. Why is this? We got 13 sites, and the taxation of capital gains on a house sale is federal law under the Income Tax Act, not just a CRA administrative rule. The CRA can enforce these rules because they are codified into federal law through the Income Tax Act, giving them legal weight beyond just a policy. While the CRA used to have an administrative policy that let people skip on reporting the sale of a home if it was fully exempt, the law was changed in 2016 to make reporting mandatory for everyone. This is someone who tried. I'm not insulting her. She tried, but she grossly misquoted everything here because she does not understand what the Income Tax Act is. Yes, Parliament wrote it. Actually, some professional writer wrote it. Parliament put it through. So the Income Tax Act, although it is technically a federal document, it's just a piece of paper. And it's rules for the CRA, not for you and me, and not for this Sandra lady. And the idea that it's a law is wrong. It's not. It's a suggestion. It's a rule book. I choose not to play by the rules. I don't work for the CRA. I'm not getting paid to do anything for the CRA, so I'm not doing anything they want. Next, it says making reporting mandatory. What's the root word? Mandate. What did I say earlier in this show? Mandates are not laws. Mandates are what they want you to do, but they're too afraid to write a law to make you do it because they know it's not going to pass the Senate. That's all that mandatory means. It is mandatory that every Canadian politician has a free dinner out of my toilet bowl when I'm done using it. But I can't enforce that. I can tell you it's mandatory. I can invite them. I can direct them towards it. But I can't grab their heads and shove their heads in there because that would be assault. All right. So it doesn't matter that I say it's mandatory. I have no legal way to enforce that. And if I choose not to mandatorily write something down on a piece of paper, there's nothing they can do about it. And I mean nothing at all. Now, Rooted in the Woods says the ITA, the Income Tax Act, is an act, not a law. That is correct. And then Joe Pepe says, an act is a piece of legislation that has gone through Parliament and received approval. Once approved by a majority vote, it becomes a law. No, it's just rules that went through Parliament and got approved. It's not laws. Parliament, remember those idiots in the Liberal Party? They changed the Canadian national anthem. It was a mandate. It's not the law. It's still not even the official change. That's why, I don't sing the Canadian national anthem anymore. I'll never sing it again. It means nothing to me. Canada was really bad to me. Panama has been really good to me. I stand for the Panamanian national anthem now and never again for the Canadian anthem. But it's still not the law. They made this big production of changing one line to make it, friendly for everybody, which made no sense. And they all stood there singing the new version of it like a bunch of idiots. Yeah, liberal people are weird, don't you think? It's still not a law. And if you sing the original Canadian national anthem, which is the Maple Leaf Forever, there's nothing illegal about that either. So come on, folks. These aren't laws. Mike says, is the goal with you, Kevin, never to pay tax? If all of us never pay tax, then how do we pay for services we need and enjoy? Healthcare, education, road maintenance, police and fire and ambulance services. All right, first off, I'm going to make this commentary here. Not one police officer in Canada ever made my life better. Many of them made my life worse. I don't want anything to do with modern policing. They are completely incompetent. They're wimps, most of them, and they've got extremist left-wing ideological views. They can't wait to put you in prison for praying. It's strange. I don't want any money going into creatures of the night like that. As for healthcare in Canada, as I said earlier, it sucks. I do not want any Canadian doctors touching me or even looking at me. Panamanian doctors are vastly superior to Canadian ones, and Colombian doctors are vastly superior to Panamanian ones. So guys, the rest of the world is doing things right. Now, as for roads and road maintenance and all that nonsense, sure, there was a day when your tax dollars actually paid for infrastructure. That is no longer the case. Your tax dollars are going into money laundering schemes all over the world, making a few select people rich, but the average person doesn't understand that. So paying tax in the 1970s and 1980s made sense. Paying tax makes 0 sense today. Doesn't go into anything of any value at all. All right, next one. Yanni says, so the CRA can actually ask banks to freeze your accounts because they do have a statutory authority under the Income Tax Act and they don't need a court order. Not being a law enforcement agency does not limit the CRA here. Their authority comes from legislation, and that's enough to make the bank's actions legally protected in most situations. So, no, you cannot sue them over this. Sincerely, the CRA. Maybe this person works for the CRA, and maybe they don't. But let's break down what this individual said so you understand how incorrect this individual is. The CRA cannot freeze your bank account. Do you think that these multi-billion-dollar banking establishments are going to say, hello, umfufu, ooga booga dong bing from whatever country who doesn't speak English? Here's all the codes to everyone's bank account. You go ahead and you shut down the ones that you want, but don't steal any money, okay? Do you really think the banks give their passwords and their encryption to the CRA? That's not how it works. The CRA has statutory authority to send a letter to the bank saying, give us money. But so do I, and so do you, right? We can write letters. And without a court order signed by a judge, we can't enforce them. You're allowed to ignore anything. I tell everyone the same thing. Get a court order. And no one does that. The CRA has never gotten a court order to get me to do anything, period. So when the bank says, you know what, CRA, we know that you've got the right to send us this letter, but we have the right to decline. We are not going to steal from our client because our clients make us money. Get a court order. Otherwise, you have to deal with our $1,000 per hour lawyers. The banks are within their rights to say that. You know what's funny is the CRA said to me on the phone once, well, if the banks don't pay us, then we will hold them accountable. And I said, sure, but how would you make them pay you? Well, I don't know. Of course you don't know. You're going to tell the Bank of Montreal, hello, Bank of Montreal, we know you make $2-3 billion a quarter. Take this man's money and give it to us. And BMO says, no, we have a new policy not to cooperate with the CRA. And the CRA says, okay, but then you have to give us the money. And if you don't, we're going to get really mad and shake our finger. And the Bank of Montreal is going to say, don't call us anymore. Do you honestly think the Bank of Montreal or TD Bank or Scotiabank or any of the credit unions is going to say, yeah, you know what, CRA, we're going to punish ourselves on your behalf just because you sent us a piece of paper? Like, that's delusional thinking, man. It is. And I tell the CRA all the time because you know what, that I buy corporations that are struggling, and the CRA sends me these ridiculous letters all the time that you are required to pay. And I send them off letters telling them that they are required to do really vulgar stuff. I'm not going to say any of what I tell them. And I get letters back saying, you can't talk to us that way. And I send letters back saying, you beep. And yes, I can say beep. And I did do beep to your mom and beep to your grandmother. And I write all kinds of really nasty stuff, period. And what have they done about it? Nothing. Because they have no authority of any kind. All right, next slide here. Laura Holtzels. So you will not do jail time for not paying capital gains and doing your taxes. But if the bank shuts down your bank account, you can sue them. But can you imagine a lawsuit against the bank's lawyers? One way or another, the regular citizen is doomed. It's not like the bank will say they're sorry and give you back your money. Well, that's where you're wrong, Laura. I have sued a few banks in the past, usually for breach of privacy, tort, fraud, and a few others. They don't want that going to trial. Like they'll offer me settlements of $500. I say, no. I want a trial. Let's go to court so I can question you on the stand, so I can meet your $1,000 per hour lawyer face to face. And then I can go on the stand because it would be my lawsuit. I have to, and get grilled by that lawyer and then have my legal agent, not lawyer, question me. It'd be hilarious. You know damn well that I would televise that or, put it on the web. But yeah, you can sue the bank. You can also file criminal charges against the bank manager and all the staff who are the ones who cooperated with the CRA to steal your money. But Canadians, they all say the same thing. I don't want backlash. If I file charges, the bank is going to do what? What's the bank going to do? Do you think that there are hitmen that work for each individual bank in Canada, waiting to put a bullet in you on the off chance that you decide to file criminal charges against one of their plebe managers who makes a paltry $75,000 a year? Is that what you think? I think that some of you think that. I think that some of you actually believe that there is some Sicilian hitman there waiting for you specifically. All right? It's kind of like the joke. Did you ever see that Family Guy episode where Peter's jealousy about people looking at his wife gets out of hand? Where this singer in a concert says, this song is for all you ladies out there. And Peter Griffin runs from the back row all the way to the stage and knocks the guy out cold. That's paranoid thinking, don't you think? Come on, folks. Let's stop thinking this. Oh, look, the troll is here. Soccer guy 2002 is here. The guy who's been wrong on everything he said. He's here. So T from the dot says, CRA can legally have a person sent to jail or prison, but not directly. Okay, that part's right. It's not directly. The CRA investigates and refers cases for prosecution, and a court must find the individual guilty of tax evasion or fraud before a jail sentence is imposed, says Google anyway. All right, so here's how it really works. The CRA says, you tell us everything about you. And you do, because you're dumb. And they say, well, now that you've cooperated with us, you gave us all the evidence. You didn't break any laws, but we are going to say that you did because now we as the CRA know that you're afraid of us. And now we're going to pass this off to the police and see if we can talk them into charging you. That's how it works. But if you do it my way, which is exercise your right to remain silent, where the second you get a threat from the CRA, you threaten them right back with legal action and police action and so on. Threaten them right back. There's never going to be an investigation. And if there's never an investigation, there's never a criminal charge. And if there's never a criminal charge, there's never a conviction. And the CRA does not do very well when they're charging people. That's just how that works. All right, let's move on to slide number 21. Preferred name says to me, I sold my house in 2019. My ex-husband didn't file his taxes when we sold, so the CRA took 100% of our equity, over $100,000. And when I called my lawyer and the CRA, they would not tell me where the money went or how much he owed. My ex-husband skipped the country before the house sold, so I had to get a court order to push the sale through. First off, you married a loser, all right? How did you not know the guy was a scumbag? I mean, come on, everyone. If you're married to someone for any period of time, you get to learn their habits. You get to see everything good and bad about them. You get to know if they're lazy or a snake in the grass or whatever it might be. All right. You just should know these things. But the only way the CRA would ever know about that house is if you made a phone call saying, "Hi, CRA, I'm selling my house. Don't put me in jail. Just take my money." Really? That's how the CRA finds out that you are in the middle of selling your house. You phone them and you tell them that. My God, everyone. So whoever this preferred person is, that whole thing is on you. You called the CRA and told them you're selling your house. Why would you do that? Stop talking to the CRA. You're not going to talk them out of anything. Their job is to steal from you. When you answer their questions, you make it easy for them. You know, why don't you, I've told you all, I've given you guys phone numbers of auditors. I've said, phone them. Practice being vulgar, crass, and rude with these people. And none of you do it. If all of you out there were phoning all the auditors whose cell phone numbers I have given you, they would have disconnected those numbers and been like behind 6 months on their workload. But you don't. Why not? It's easy to get a phone number. Like Skype. Remember Skype? There's a good replacement out there called Phone 2. It's really good. You can record calls. You can download the MP3 file. And there's absolutely no way for them to track who owns that phone number if you pay for it with a prepaid credit card. And no one's calling these people. Wow, come on, guys. You got to go to war. Stony Kitty Cat says, they will absolutely put liens on your stuff, take your funds, and take your wages at the source. And this is all crap. She says everything I'm saying about not paying capital gains or reporting capital gains is all crap. That's what she's saying. You got to really think that through, everyone. How do you figure that what I'm saying is crap? The CRA knows only what you tell them. And when the CRA contacts you fishing for information and they phone you, say, listen, CRA, I don't answer questions. Send me a letter. Whatever you want to know, you can put it in writing, send it to me. I'll have my lawyer look at it. Thank you very much. Hang up the phone. Don't make phone calls to the CRA unless I, as your tax guy, specifically tell you to call the CRA, and I'll give you a script at that point. It's strategic, but don't you call them without one of my scripts, okay, folks? You're going to screw everything up. And this last one here, Manal Hamoudi says, CRA switches my independent contractors into an employee because I said she used my tools, and now they want me to pay Canada Pension Plan and EI. How do I fight it? Sell me the corporation. I register you a new corporation, and don't ever talk to the CRA again. That's how that works. When you answer the CRA's questions, they will just go ahead and use that as some kind of a license to charge you more taxes. They're going to lie to you and say, oh, well, the law says that we have to change this thing. They'll do that. Just because your staff use your tools does not mean that they are not contractors. My staff use a combination of a couple of things. Their own laptops and the laptops I supply them. And when a staff member does a really good job and impresses the crap out of me on something, I buy them something cool like a desk, which they will use. Doesn't mean they're not contractors. They're not on payroll. They're on contract. Why would I put them on payroll? That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Don't forget, everybody, if you have an Instagram or TikTok channel with more than 500 followers, I will buy it from you. Cold, hard cash. All right? I want what you got. So sell those things to me immediately. We are now officially inside the second half of the show. I will begin addressing all of your questions. Let me head over to YouTube first. All right. Someone says they're in Panama right now. Okay, so if you're in Panama, is it Falcon or Falcov? You got to book my time with Jay. I don't write my own schedule anymore, folks. My days are like 14, 15 hours long, all right? You got to follow protocol. So if you see right here, kevinjjohnston.com/contact, get a hold of Jay. That's who you got to book meetings with. All right, thanks. Appreciate that. Here. Okay, this Grizzly Gamma person's been asking the same question over and over again. Do your clients have to sign an NDA? Because I've never heard of any of your clients make comments. About what? You want them to say, oh, yeah, my social insurance number is, and my full name is, and my address is, and Kevin does my taxes. Are you high? What kind of a silly question is that? Of course it is. No, I don't force anyone to sign non-disclosure agreements, period. It's not like I'm inventing, like some new perpetual motion machine. I'm doing tax work for you. I'm strategizing to make sure you don't pay tax. Why would I make you say an NDA for that? What a stupid comment. All right, next. Do you buy businesses that have other debt as well as CRA? Yeah. Municipal fines, lawsuits, judgments, bank loans that are not personally guaranteed, corporate credit cards. Yeah, all the debts you have. If you have a company vehicle and your company vehicle has got tons of tickets, yeah. We transfer the vehicle out of the corporation's name back to you, and I get all the tickets. That's exactly how that works. All right. No, guys, I am not a licensed lawyer. Why would I want to be a licensed lawyer? Lawyers in Canada suck. And the law societies of every single province, they're a bunch of left-wing fruits. I want nothing to do with those individuals. And I mean positively nothing. All right, let's address the Rumble Room. What's going on here? Fit Chick 88. Question. If you buy two numbered corporations, one for holding and one for business, and you have two T4s and a sole proprietor business, you owe zero tax, but you need to get rid of personal loans, such as a lock for $70,000. How do I play the big write-off game? Corporation A writes a huge invoice to Corporation B with a 10-year payment plan on it. Corporation B then writes one right back to Corporation A with a 20-year payment plan on it. Congratulations. Ta-da. You can all write off the same amount of expense. It's kind of that easy, everybody. All right. Truth Seeker. Although I've remitted tax money to the Canada Revenue Agency annually, I'm behind with my taxes. Can I still get CPP and OAS? I don't like the Friendly Nation investment option. Well, if I'm your tax guy, not only will I set your taxes to zero, but yeah, you will get CPP and OAS. So absolutely, that's what I do. I make sure that we are compliant with the criminal code, and I get you back as much money as I possibly can. And I want to make sure that each and every one of you out there who are my clients have the full benefit of not paying tax and collecting whatever the government wants to give to you. Simple things like the GST stimulus check. It's like $350 a year. Then there's the carbon credit tests or whatever you guys get back. It's like $750. And sometimes we can actually get you a Ontario labor plan. So depending which province you're in, I can sometimes get you back an additional $1,300 or $1,400 from the government. And then you'd have other things like grants. There are sometimes we can get grants for people, not many. Unfortunately, and it's as strange as this sounds, white people simply cannot get grants in Canada because the Canadian government has some kind of boner for white folk. But for those of my clients who are not white, but are born in Canada and speak perfect English, I tell them, listen, practice the accent of your parents and apply as somebody who's not white, and we get them grants. It's freaking bizarre. And I don't care. If my clients play the game, I don't care. I tell my clients all the time, play the race card, man. It just, whatever it takes to win, because our society has completely crumbled. Canada's finished. There is absolutely no reason whatsoever for any of you to be cooperating with the Canadian government or the CRA. All right. Bill Crayson says, what about a company that owes taxes for HST, GST, and or payroll? Sell it to me. I take all your debt away. You start over at zero. That's what I do. Go to my website, type this one in. My name, Kevin J. Johnston, JOHNSTON.biz. If you go to that one, you can fill that form out. That is exactly how you immediately sell me your corporation. That's you telling me you want to sell it. That's you getting a hold of us directly to sell your corporation to us. And your debts are going to be gone. Thank you, Fire. Appreciate the fan club. Thank you so much. All right. Robbie G, how do I get you to do my taxes? Grab yourself a consultation on my website, kevinjjohnston.com. All right, my name.com. .biz if you want to sell me a corporation. .com for every other question. Thank you, Jessa. I appreciate that too. That's awesome. Thank you very much. Guys, just ignore soccer guy. He's a troll. He's some left-wing nut that doesn't like me. It doesn't matter. Whatever. Maybe I accidentally had an affair with his mom or something. You just never know. All right. Can I make a Panama business and get my employer to pay the business? Canadians are afraid of their own shadow. To get a Canadian corporation to pay a foreign business in a foreign currency it's legal. Sure, it's legal. But could you possibly talk them into it? And probably not. Probably not. Oh, and by the way, everyone, I was going to crack a joke today, and I'm a little upset with TikTok. I had to read their policies. Remember like 2 weeks ago when I showed you what my lighter looked like? It looked like a 38. And instantaneously, when I show my lighter, which is like, it's a fun toy, they took me off. They suspended me for a full 7 days. Couldn't go live for 7 days. Well, I was going to tell you about the fact that today I saw this guy. He walks into a coffee shop, orders 2 donuts, and he tries to pay with a $5 bill. All right. But the store clerk said something in Spanish, and this guy just ran and dropped the $5 bill. So I picked it up and I handed it to the store clerk, and the store clerk says, it's fake. And it is, but it's a good fake. Yeah. So someone's running a counterfeiting operation here. And what I was going to do, because I don't want to be holding on to fake currency, is burn it. It's going to say, hey, guys, let's light it up with my, not the pistol-shaped lighter, but with my Zippo lighter that's got the Jim Beam logo on it, and torch it and make this big joke about burning money and so on. But it turns out that you cannot light a lighter. You can't actually light a lighter on TikTok. They will shut down your live feed. That's weird. I think that's incredibly bizarre, but it is what it is. So you'll just have to imagine what the funny joke was I was going to crack with the lighter burning a fake $5 bill. Do I also deal with Revenu Quebec? Yeah, we do, but we got to be careful with that because Revenu Quebec counts on the fact that the province of Quebec operates within civic law and not common law like the rest of the country. So they essentially do whatever they want. If you owe $300,000, is that corporate debt or is that personal debt? Let me know. I appreciate that. All right, Jessa, thank you very much for the hearts. Appreciate that. Okay. And soccer guy's trying to crack some joke about his mother being 83. Good for you. All right, and good for her. Tell her I said hello. 29,600 likes up here. That's not good enough. Come on, everyone. 2 fingers. Let's go. 2 fingers. Just rapid fire, like. And if you're watching me on Rumble or YouTube or Twitch or X or anywhere else, folks, come on, hit it. You got to share. You got to like. It really does help all of what we are doing here. So, and YouTube especially, start to share everything. Housewife, thank you. I appreciate that. Fire asks, what about the garnishing of wages question from above? I've covered garnishing twice already tonight. Garnishment is something you can sue your employer for and win. It's theft. If the CRA does not send them a court order, they don't have to cooperate. They always say, well, we do. It's the government. And ask them, have you read the entire Income Tax Act? No. How about the Excise Tax Act? No. How about the GST Act? No. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate that. No. It's always, no. It's just, it's weird. Adults who whine and cry and say, it's the law, when they've never read the law. It's incredible also when someone's just afraid of something in general. Thank you, Kenny, for the rose. When someone in general is afraid of something, they'll just make crap up. You ever notice that? You know, like simple things. I remember being a teenager, when I'd say, hey guys, there's nothing to do. Let's go to the park and play some basketball. And someone will say, you can't. It's illegal. You can't go to the park at 11 p.m. Yeah, you're going to go to jail. Eh? And I would ask the question, are you just making this crap up on the fly? What do you mean it's illegal to go to a taxpayer-funded park at 11 o'clock at night? A lot of municipalities in Canada will put signs out that say parks close at 11 p.m., but they cannot stop you from walking through them. What they mean is standard park activity that might be exceptionally boisterous might be banned at that time, but that's not the police enforcing that. That would be bylaw officers enforcing that. And the bylaw officers can't really enforce that because you don't work for the city. All right. So people make crap up all the time. And it's the same thing with the government and taxes. Everyone assumes you got to pay tax. Everyone assumes you go to jail if you don't cooperate with the CRA. Everyone assumes that they have to do what they're told by someone they don't know just because they work for the government. My God, that's pathetic. If you think that way, it's sad. FKN Marchuk. Am I in Calgary? I was, but not anymore. Okay. No, this fake money, guys. Again, I was going to crack the joke about torching it. I'm going to take this tonight. I've got cherry bombs because fireworks here in Panama are really, really cheap. What I'm going to do here is wrap this thing up in a whole pack of cherry bombs and set it off. It's going to turn to confetti. All right. And don't worry, guys. I always keep a broom with me and I sweep up my mess when I'm done lighting fireworks off. It's kind of a real joy. You know what? Some of the cool things you can do here. You got a lot of freedom here. Right? Something that I did do is we put cherry bombs, taped them to a kite, and then had a long wick, lit the wick, ran with it, got the kite up in the air, tug, tug, tug. We got the kite flying, and then pop, 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 and the kite just turned into confetti in the sky. It was hilarious. You got a lot of freedom here in Panama. Try doing that in Canada. Well, actually, you can if you live in Brampton. You just have to say you're celebrating Diwali. All right. Yeah, there you are. Am I married? No. Every week someone asks me that. No, I'm not getting married again. I did that for 21 years. And once was enough. We're good. Can the CRA garnish wages? No, your employer does. The CRA cannot tell your employer what to do legally. Your employer just assumes they can and steals from you. Sue your employer. All right. The Caribbean Princess says, can they seize my house? All right, here's the way it really works with the CRA. They'll send you a statement, you owe us tax, and you ignore them. And then they say, you owe us tax now, and here's your penalty, and here's all the fees that go with it, and you ignore them. Then they send you off a letter saying, we may put a lien on your property, and you ignore them. Then they go to federal tax court, which is a joke, and they get a certificate against your name, which is called a writ of execution, and you ignore them. Then they take that writ of execution and put a lien on your property if it's in your name, which of course it should never be, and you ignore them. And then maybe 3 or 4 years pass. If the interest gets up above about the 50% mark of the equity, then they will try to seize the property and sell it. Don't ignore them. Make sure I'm your tax guy, and I'll shut them down. If I sue my employer, will they find a BS reason to fire me? Yeah, they'll try, maybe. And if they do, you can sue them for wrongful dismissal. You cannot be fired because you sued your boss. That's illegal. Golf Maps. How do I pay the lowest and or no corporate tax in Ontario? Make me your tax guy, and you'll never pay tax again. All right. Can an employer pay me bi-weekly gross amount without taxes withdrawal from EI and CPP? Sure, if you go on contract, where you would have a corporation and a GST or an HST number and cut them invoices every week or every bi-weekly period. Sure, yeah. But your employer is probably a coward and will say, no, I can't do that. I got to do CPP because it's the law. I don't want to go to jail. Hey. That's what they sound like to me. So your employer is probably a loser, like most people are, regrettably. If your employer says yes, good, take them up on that offer. Poor Jat says, stuck in a house totally upside down. Any way to get rid of it without doing a bankruptcy? Sorry, what does that mean, stuck in a house? Could you clarify, please? WPS, I have 50K in sole proprietor debt. There is a way to get a sole proprietor out of debt. It's a bit of work, but it can be done. Anna, what's the best way to relieve your real estate to your kids? Make sure your real estate is in a numbered corporation. Make you a 95% shareholder, make them 5% shareholder, and upon your death, your shares simply go to them. And the CRA knows nothing about your death, nor do they know anything about the house, because you're not transferring a property, you're just transferring shares, which are merely a sworn-in affidavit. That's all that the shares are. Dan says, can you dodge estate tax by making up a bare trust and set inheritors as beneficiary? Yeah, you can. Bare trusts are expensive. If you just do everything through numbered corporations like I've been suggesting forever, then you don't even need to bother with a bare trust, because you're not obligated to tell the government who the shareholders are of your corporation. They call it mandatory. I told you earlier, it's mandatory that every politician comes here and licks my feet after I walk barefoot through cow crap, all right? But I can't enforce that. And if they say it's mandatory, they also cannot enforce that. So don't do it. Ryan, I owe $15,000 to the government, 5 for taxes and 10K for student loan from 18 years ago. Can I get rid of it? Yes. There's a trick. I can't explain it here because it'll take an hour, but I can get that done for you, yes. Ukami says, is it really true that I don't have to pay capital gain tax after selling? Right, yes. I wouldn't lie to you about that. There's nothing to gain for me lying to you about capital gains. Don't report capital gains. Don't pay capital gains. It makes no sense whatsoever for you to report capital gains on a property that you paid for. All right, let me check the YouTube room here. Patrick, I've asked for my contract with the CRA 5 times, and they admitted I didn't have one. What is next? Transfer every piece of property you own into separate numbered corporations and stop talking to them. Stop reporting. What about the 183-day rule when you leave Canada and decide to reside in another country? Don't tell them. Just go. You could be gone as long as you want. That is a charter right in Canada. Okay. How do you avoid capital gains on a large foreign currency exchange? What are you doing on the current? Do you own it? Is that what you're saying? Do you convert currency? I mean, the one thing that I recommend to everybody, if you're involved in any particular type of international commerce, make sure you're putting it into an American corporation's bank account. Of course, you own that one, or move it here to Panama. We actually opened up 5 corporations today for Canadians. It was a long day. 5 Canadians, all wanted corporations in Panama. So we got the paperwork done. They're going to have bank accounts shortly. And what they do is they assign me as power of attorney for them down here. I sign everything, done. The power of attorney expires after only 10 days. So I get their corporations all set up, transferred to them. They just come down and grab the paperwork whenever they feel like doing it. Can the CRA arrest you? No, they're not cops. They're losers. That's all they are. They're losers. They have no authority of any kind. Period. If they touch you, it's assault. If they touch you, actually, if any government employee puts even a finger on you, throw yourself down on the ground and pretend you're passed out. And that way you can charge them with assault. I know it's people don't, I don't necessarily like it when people do that, but it's the government. So yeah, do it. Patrick, can I transfer my home to what? To a numbered corporation that you are the 100% shareholder of or partial shareholder of, just not the director. It is that easy. Kelly, do I do private consults? Yep. Get one on my website right now. My name, Kevin, middle initial, J, last name, Johnston, Johnsst. Don't forget the T. O-N, KevinJJohnston.com. Grab a consult and we'll talk in person. What's better, an LTD, incorporate, or sole proprietorship? Sole proprietorships are only good when we're trying to get things like RRSP taxes back for you, or I'm trying to get rid of a student loan. Beyond that, they're a bad idea. An LTD is typically things like a trucking company. So long as you have an LTD or an INC company, you can always sell me your tax debt at any given time. Sole proprietorships, obviously, I can't buy the proprietor. Thank you, Michael. I can't buy a proprietorship debt from you because I would actually be buying you. That's akin to slavery, and that is illegal. You cannot buy human beings. There we are. Can I represent you if you take it to tax court? In tax court, yes, I can. Sarah Vander Vieken. How do you transfer property to a corporation with a personal mortgage still on it? What I usually do is this. We get you to renew your mortgage for 5, 10, or 20 years, and then we just transfer the property because you've now got the extension on your mortgage. Keep making your payments. When that 5, 10, or 20-year time is up and you've made all your payments on time, they're going to renew it for you automatically anyway. You're going to be fine. I didn't pay my tax because you said I don't have to. Now they're garnishing my wages. Hold on a second here. My words are very clear. You do not have to report your taxes. But when the CRA contacts you, you must go on the attack. When the CRA says you owe us money, you have to appeal. You object to it. I told everyone, don't ignore your problems. If the CRA sends you a threat, threaten them back. If the CRA is writing you on the phone, call the police. Tell them do it all in writing. So long as you're attacking them with everything that is correct, they have no stance. You're getting garnished because you ignored their threats. That's why. You're also getting garnished because your boss is a fucking coward. That's why. And he's chosen to steal your money because he's afraid of his own shadow. You're working for a bad person there. So if you want, I get your taxes set to zero. The garnishment ends. You can then sue your boss for everything he stole from you and sue the CRA. You will win. Do not ignore. When you put down nothing on your tax return, you sign it and send it in with your name and social insurance number on it. That's sending in a tax return. You've met that little obligation they say that you have. That is what I'm saying to you. Listen to exactly what comes out of my mouth. You see, when I'm telling people things, I'm glad that I record everything because I have to play back what I've said sometimes to tell them, you chose to misinterpret my words. And I am always honest with everyone. You should hear some of the lectures I give to people. You know, what I'm telling men, man up. Stop crying. Man up. Now, I've had a few times where men are like, oh, you know, this CRA guy, he got on the phone, he was yelling at my wife. I just didn't know what to do. If someone raises their voice to your wife and you're not immediately raising your voice to him and then calling the police for attacking your wife, that's sad, man. If I was married and someone was to raise their voice to my wife, if they're in my presence, they'll wake up in 3 days, maybe. All of you know I used to box. I think all of you have seen the video where I deadlifted 500 pounds. I'm close to that again now. I hit you, it's good night, Alice. And that is our obligation as men. And did you know that in Greece, it's actually illegal to call another man's wife a whore? And if you call another man's wife a whore in Greece and that man knocks you out, the guy who called the wife a whore is going to jail, not the one who knocked them out. So someone threatens your wife or irritates your wife on the phone, man up. What happened to the men out there? You should be angry. You should turn into an evil individual the second that someone threatens your wife. That's my take on that. Do what you will with that take. My U.S. fiance is moving to Canada. Don't do that. Don't leave America and go to Canada. Let's finish the question. My U.S. fiance is moving to Canada, and the United States Immigration was asking for my CRA login and password. What? Are you sure you were talking to a government agency? Your CRA login and password? It won't even work from the United States. Are you sure? Was that done in writing? I want to read that letter. I have never heard of that before. Got to be sure on stuff like that. Yeah, Johnny is right. The whole point of everything I'm telling you to do here is to register numbered corporations and put your assets into a numbered corporation. Your car should not even be in your name. It should be in a corporation's name. Kevin, if you should get ill or can't act in a normal capacity, does your staff in the company have the ability to take over what you do? I'd say they'd get it about 80% right. Yeah. Nobody can do what I do, folks. That's just how it is. But I'm one of those guys that seems to just survive everything. My car went off a cliff. I hit the top of a tree and didn't die. I fell off a fishing boat off the coast of St. Petersburg, Florida, and I swam 2 miles back into shore. Didn't die. I been in many car accidents. 7, didn't die. There were 7 attempts on my life when I lived in Canada by those Antifa maniacs, still here. This Muslim dude tried to kill me once, got me right here. I got this massive scar right down my arm here, now from the knife wound. Still here. I don't know, man. I seemingly survive everything. Yeah. Every time I get sick, I'm out for like a day. That's all. I don't know. I think I'm going to be around for 30 years at least. At least. Flyboy, what if I make money on YouTube and I don't want to claim it? Can I get away with that? Yeah. Just make sure that when you sign up for it, that you're registering in California. Don't say that you want to be subject to Canada's rules. Say you want to be subject to the rules of California. And the CRA can't do a thing about it. Do I need to declare to the CRA that I bought a house in Florida? No. No, you don't have to tell the CRA about any property that you own anywhere. And if your accountant tells you that you must, that's a bad guy. Get rid of them. Move away. Get away from that accountant, man. No. If you have bank accounts around the world, be silent about them. If you've got property around the world, be silent about them. The United States and Eritrea are the only 2 countries where you have to report property and earnings outside the country. The only 2. We call it pay-to-play citizenship. There's no such thing in Canada. No. Go abroad. Buy whatever you want. Make as much money as you want. Be silent about it. Don't ever tell the CRA that. What's with the Panama trick? Sorry, what trick are you referring to? Flex Rosie says, so I saw your link and I already have a spine. So what now? Okay, but Rosie, cool. What do you want to do? Let me hear it. Do you have e-commerce clients? Quite a few. And we do the same thing with all of them. We make sure that they do not have a website inside of Canada. If they're going to be doing business even in Canada, we make sure that we do it through an American or Panamanian or Grenadian corporation. There you go. And they don't pay tax. Why are there so many CPA wussies over here in Ontario? It's systemic, man. Remember the 70s when adult men had the handlebar mustache and the long hair, the leather jacket, and the loose shirt with the chest hair showing, and the wooden clog shoes, and they had that swagger, and they'd crack a cigarette out and it was lit. And they had that look on their face, like they were always ready for war. Remember that? And if you were to throw a water balloon or maybe scratch their car by accident, they'd pound you one. You'd never do it again. Remember those days? Yeah, those days are gone. I really wish that there were men like that now. Remember that movie Slapshot from the 70s? I've watched that movie 1,000 times. I love it. The guys in there, You could see it. They had the big hair. They had the mustaches. They had the big shades. They had the swagger in there. They looked mean. They were ready for anything. Modern men are not like that anymore at all. All right. If you missed the 90-day deadline for the CRA's NOA, is it too late to get that tax year reassessed? No, but you got to do it through tax court. That's all. I bought a rental property mortgage. Mortgage is $1.1 million and it's worth $850K now. Is there any way other than bankruptcy? Sorry. Let me make sure I got this right. You have a $1.1 million mortgage on an $850,000 property. So that means the property went down in value after you took on the mortgage. Is that correct? If I'm hearing that correctly, one of the games in Ontario that we used to play is that we would simply stop paying the mortgage when the mortgage was assigned to a corporation, not a personal name. And it would go into default. And then what would happen here is I would send letters in as a third party to the bank saying, listen, we're considering buying this property, but we understand that you have a lien on this property. What can we do to get rid of the lien? The bank would send the letter off saying, oh, well, we need you to pay the $2 million on there. We would say, well, we don't believe it's worth $2 million. We understand that this thing's about to foreclose. Instead of foreclosing, why don't you sell it to us for $700K or whatever it is? And they would usually do it. Right? There's all kinds of ways to get that done. So you could let the house go into receivership and then try to buy it back later. It's risky, though. Tan says, hello, Kevin. You're so nice. I see lots of fake Kevins. Just messaging private, please. Yeah, okay, folks. Hey, he's right. There are hundreds of fake accounts now. Right now on TikTok, I've got this one. This is my official one. Real Kevin J. Johnston. The rest are fakes. So do not talk to anyone through DMs. I do not communicate through direct messaging on any social media platform. You must use my website, kevinjjohnston.com. I do not ask for money through WhatsApp. I'm not on Telegram or Signal. I don't ask for money there. I will never ask you for money by email. I will never give you an email address. Yeah, send me money now. Whenever you hire me, you got to get the consultation done first. Like you got to talk to me face to face. And when you get yourself a consultation, everybody, the consultation is you and I talking face to face. We talk in a private chat room where it's not AI because I'm going to be answering all your questions in real time. But remember I told you guys, ask me to pick stuff up on my desk. AI can't do that. So nobody can deep fake me wearing my ultra cool glasses. Come on. These are sexy, are they not? I'll put these on to prove to you I am who I say I am. All right. There we go. Kevin, show me your phone. Done. There's my phone. Kevin, show me your computer mouse. There it is. Kevin, take a sip of water. AI cannot do these things. So don't give money to anyone until we talk. The way that I do it, everyone, we have a consultation. You tell me your tax problems. I listen. I ask a boatload of questions. And then by the end of it, we cook up a strategy. And then at that point, within 24 hours to maybe 2 days, you're going to get a quotation from a member of my team. If you doubt that the quotation is real, you jump back into the chat room with me for a few minutes and we can review that thing. Right? I'm not going to ask for any money at all. Even when I send you the quotation, I don't call you up saying, hey, give me the money. I leave it to you to decide if you want to do business at that point. I don't do high pressure sales. All these scam artists will keep saying, send the money over. I can't start without the money. Send the money over. That's what they do. Don't fall for it. There's been a few people that have fallen for it. Don't, because I don't have time to help you get your money back. And how would I do it anyway? Right? If you're not speaking to me directly, do not give any money over. Wes says the CRA took 10 grand out of my account after they challenged my income tax return. So you have no choice now but to file a complaint with the ombudsman. You also want to file an objection and then eventually just take it to tax court. And that way you're going to be in a position to demand your money back. There's a lot of steps you got to take. If I move my home into a numbered corporation, does property transfer tax still apply? No. Here's you on title. Here's the corporation. So you just go whoop. You can add the corporation, wait 15 to 30 days, and remove you. It's been transferred. That's all. Soccer guy, you can lick me. There you go. In fact, why don't we just get you out of here, Mr. Troll? Bye-bye, Soccer Guy 2002. Mr. Troll, bye-bye. Bye-bye now. And another troll is gone. All right, let's move on. That guy was annoying. Johnny says, you always report your tax return as null if you don't feel like snitching on yourself. Yeah, sure. Why not? That's a good strategy. I agree. I agree fully. Gino, I missed a call from them, currently unemployed. What should you do? Sorry, you missed a call from who? I assume CRA. What did they want? Are there any capital gains on farmland? Not if you don't snitch on yourself, and absolutely not if I'm your tax guy. Absolutely not. How long does it take to remove your name from a corporation? If you have the corporate key, which is just the user ID and the password in every single province except for Alberta, 5 minutes. Excuse me. If you're in Alberta, you have to go to the registry, and then as soon as you talk to someone, 5 minutes. But you got to physically go there. There we are. Yeah, Julie, I know you agree with me, Julie, that men in Canada are not men anymore. They're a bunch of lost children. It sucks. Yeah. I can't stand weak men, and I can't stand feminists. Like, the two of them have just wrecked everything. Absolutely. And neither of those parties get things done. You ever notice how a weak man gets nothing done? You ever notice how a feminist gets nothing done? You ever notice when you put the two of them in the same room, time seems to go backwards? You ever notice that? Yeah, I'm glad I'm not in Canada anymore. All right. Do you have to tell the CRA that you sold a business? Sell the business, pocket the dough, carry on with life. Okay. Flyboy, I assume I don't have to if I don't want to, since Google's in the USA. Yeah, you know what? Ignore what Google says. Google gets almost everything wrong. Sab, independent contractor, made $40,000. Don't get 14. Can they declare? Could you rephrase the question, please? I didn't quite catch that. Can dual citizenship in Canada and EU be helpful for taxes? If I'm your tax guy, you're not paying tax. So, I mean, yeah, sure. Why not, man? So there we go. I'm just going to check more questions here. All right, look, guys, if the CRA issues you any kind of bill, you have to object. It's free. Just go to ChatGPT, ask it to give you the exact link to the page to be able to object to a tax assessment the CRA gave you, and then fill out the form and put a reason down as to why you're objecting and send that in by fax and by mail. It is that easy. And that's going to buy you some time for me to fix your taxes. Amadar, if you own a multiplex with more than 4 units, it's deemed as a commercial loan, but still a residential property. I guess it depends who the lender is. But yes, it would be a residential property. Maryland, I worked in the Yukon on my native territory land. Self-governed got taxed. Is that correct? Who taxed you? The federal government of Canada? Or did the reserve tax you? Because that's a thing. Some of the reserves will get you on a reserve tax. I need more details. Golf. I did 400K in commercial flooring last year. I should not file the corporate taxes anymore. What you should do is get me to file your corporate taxes, because even though you made that much money, I'll still have it that you lose money on paper. The whole thing is, everyone, you want to lose money on paper. Lose money. Make money in reality, lose money on paper. That's how the millionaires do it. That's how the billionaires do it. How do you think they're rich? They don't pay tax. They know every single trick in the book to not pay tax. I just so happen to know every trick in the book and then the new ones that I've invented. So get me to do your taxes, bruh, and you're not going to pay tax. How about WhatsApp? No, I don't talk to people on WhatsApp. It's pointless. Not at all. We talk in chat rooms, private chat rooms. That's where we talk. If you're talking to somebody on WhatsApp, it ain't me. All right, I've got a very specific icon on my WhatsApp, but I don't give that number out. Why? Because I would never get any sleep. So if you are talking to somebody on WhatsApp or DMs on social media, it ain't me, because that's not how I communicate. Right there. You see what I just said that? Look what Kenny says. How do we reach you? Someone messaged me on WhatsApp and was asking for money to file my taxes. That ain't me. My website only. Kevin J. Johnston with the T.com. I will never ask anybody for money through WhatsApp. I will never ask anyone for money through a direct message or Signal or Telegram. I won't do it through X. I won't do it through Facebook. Everything goes through my website, everyone. Please block the individual as soon as they're talking to you. Take screenshots. DMZ chat. I just got a demand letter to file T2 generals for 2018 up to 2025. Okay, let me take care of that. You won't pay a penny of tax. Get a hold of me on my website, please. I started a business in 2025 for the very purpose to buy and sell precious metals from my business. Good. Do not, under any circumstances, have anyone else but me do your taxes. All right. So, Amadir, use my personal website, my Kevin J. Johnston website. You got to use that one to get a hold of me. Do not do it anytime at all through social media, because I don't talk to people through social media. Selling at lower than market value or a markdown because the inventory is worth less due to the market. Yeah, you see, if you buy a house for $1 million and sell it for $900,000, that's $100,000 capital loss. And that capital loss carries forward to any capital gain for the rest of your life. And that's something I do now, everyone, is I can sell you and transfer to you capital losses. If I give you, let's say, a $1 million capital loss, and we put it on your tax records for last year, 2025, that $1 million capital loss follows you for the rest of your life. So anytime you got a capital gain, you just take the capital gain and subtract the capital loss, and you are not going to pay a penny of tax. Miss Canada Earth will be consulting with me soon. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciate that. NAS, I owe $67,000 in my business. Can you help me? They have frozen my account. Yeah, I got to get your tax bill to zero. Communicate with me directly through my website, please. Website only, folks. Man, stupid question there. Do I believe in dinosaurs? Yeah, I got 3 as a pet. Come on, guys. This is tax. Gino, I haven't done taxes for 2 corporations since 2017, and both are no longer in business. All right. What we got to do in that instance there, Gino, you got to revive them. You got to make sure the GST or the HST number is valid. It has to have a bank account, and then you can sell the corporation to me, and all the debt comes with it. The CRA can no longer bother you. Are my eyes tattooed? No. I would never get a tattoo. I will never date a woman who has a septum piercing or a nipple piercing or a tattoo. No. Not interested in any of that. Thank you very much. How do we get the IRS? Well, I mean, The IRS is the American side of things. If you have a corporation in the States and you make money there, the IRS will want to know about it. But again, you can always have enough write-offs to make sure that your American corporation doesn't make money either. Where am I located? Pretty much right beside the Panama Canal. Where's my team located? All over Canada. Right? I've got offices all over Canada. I've got property in Canada. I've got property in the United States. I've got property here in Panama, and I've got bank accounts in Colombia, Panama, United States. I move my money around, folks. I'm not leaving it in Canada. Sab, you're an independent contractor, but no T4 was issued. Could an independent contractor declare zero income? Yes, absolutely you can. 100% you can. Bridge systems. First time small business filing is overdue. What are the tips and tricks? Your first one, zero. Put it down at zero. Always do zero for your first one. Okay, so you're asking me user 4972. Even if the information is on their website, why do we need to report? Well, you don't need to report. Do a tax return with just your name, social insurance number, and signature on it, and that's it. You don't have to actually fill out any number. It's completely legal to send in a tax return with absolutely no numbers on it, period. Does the CRA do a lot of corporate audits and you just don't reply? Okay, guys. The CRA made an announcement that they're planning on ramping up their audits, but that doesn't mean they're going to do it. It's fear mongering. They use the media because the media is absolutely eager to help them lie, and they say they're gonna ramp it up. Now, when auditors contact any of our clients, we simply get rid of the auditor. We ban the auditor from going to your property or your business for life, which we have the right to do. So if you get an audit letter, make me your tax guy, and the auditor goes, bye-bye. How can I change my business legally to sell products without charging tax? You always want to make sure that you're charging HST and or GST, because if I'm your tax guy, I'll be able to put in every single legal expense possible to make sure you don't pay tax. It's difficult to do it, though, when you don't have the HST or the GST number. I'm just saying that makes my job a whole lot harder. By the way, we're at almost 51,000 likes. Everyone, come on, two fingers, get rocking there. Let's like the hell out of this show, please, and share it to absolutely everyone that you know. It really does help the algorithm find us. Superman's asking me here, if you add your corporation to your, if you add your home to your corporation and remove your name, what happens with the LLC or home insurance? Doesn't have to be switched as well. In time, yes. But it's always better to ask, beg for forgiveness than ask permission? Just do it and then change everything later. All right. So Mike Landry, could you please hit me up in the private chat, in the contact page of my website, if you don't mind. Put down your name and urgent in the subject line. We'll take care of that. Thank you. How about if I don't pay tax for 5 years and start to pay tax this year? Well, let me do your taxes for you. I will have to get the 5 years balanced out. And when I do that, it'll be at zero, or at least as close to zero as I legally can do so. NAS, I help people all over Canada, and we're helping Australians now too. So it doesn't matter that you're in Toronto. Even though I wish somebody would nuke that city, I hate it, I still help people in Toronto. I was born there. So there we go. Adams says, can you help with sole proprietorship source deductions owed? Okay, if you've got an RP number on your sole proprietorship, we got to get rid of that, and we got to set all those taxes down to zero. It's complicated, but yes, I can fix that for you. If a corporation makes no money, do I have to file taxes? If the corporation's making no money, don't file taxes at all until you decide what you're doing. Because there are some times, let's say we had a client, got a corporation 20 years ago, never did taxes, and said he paid the fee to the province to renew it. Then he kept asking me, what do I do with it? I said, well, if you've got a corporation that's 20 years old, that means it's survived 2 economic downturns. Why don't we build a nice website for it and apply for funding? And he got it. So if you don't declare taxes, we can do whatever we want with those numbers whenever we want. Be ready, but don't do anything with your corporation until you're actually ready to do something. How can I run a business and not pay the CRA? Make me your tax guy. That's how. Rascal says, I make $90K blue collar. What would you charge me? Well, I mean, individual tax returns for personal are $950 per tax year. If they're complex, it could be as high as $1,500. Not many are complex. And I think about the average numbers right now around $1,200 because a lot of people do have kind of intermediate difficulty tax returns. So I hope that helps. All right. Is it better to be self-employed in Ontario or Quebec tax? Ontario. And if you're a Quebec resident, we got to get you into a Ontario driver's license so that you are an Ontario resident. And then that way, under no circumstances are you going to be paying Revenu Quebec. How does one move their wealth around? Well, how much wealth and what do you want to do with the wealth? I mean, for myself, I'd say right now 80% of my wealth is in crypto and property. I don't trust the fiat cash system anymore. How do I move it around? Ancient the Chinese a secret. I can't tell you that. I mean, you got to pay me for that information, man. But it can be done. I can move up to $100 million in a day to Panama, to Colombia, to Grenada. Just saying. I've got the contacts for that. What if the CRA takes 30 grand out of your bank account without consent? It's not the CRA taking the money. They asked the bank to do it, and the bank gave it to them. Sue the bank. It's not the CRA that took it. They asked for it, and they got it. Sue the bank. Always sue the one who did the stealing, not the one who asked. Someone says I sound too good to be true. I was also told once I'm just too handsome to exist. No, that's a lie. Well, my mom said that, but that doesn't count. How do I close my business that has $400,000 in assets? Daisy May, that is one I would love to handle. Daisy, grab yourself a consult. I'm going to tell you exactly how to get that done. But that's not going to be some answer to some question that I can just rip off here in a couple of minutes. That's a full-fledged thing because I need to know what the assets are. It matters if it's things like houses and cottages and whatnot. It really does matter what they are because assets like cell phones, computers, desks, chairs, anything that doesn't have a license, even tractors, if there's no registration behind it, we can utilize affidavits to move those assets. But if it's houses and cars and things like that, the government register, then we have to do very quiet, very sneaky transfers. That's what we have to do. All right. Terry says you're very quickly becoming my favorite human. Well, if you saw me naked, that would never be the case. So keep your distance. Thank you, though. Appreciate that. Okay. What if I don't pay tax on my inventory, non-domestic goods? James, shh about what you got. All right. You got the right to remain silent. If you have inventory, shut up. The only people that should know about it is your insurance company, no one else. The CRA sent a letter to 3 companies we work with, taking 40% of their owing to CRA. What, you mean they talked to your clients? Yeah, they do that. You got to hide your clients from the CRA, folks. You cannot tell anyone who your clients are. If you have your clients listed on your website, take them down. I put some of my really big clients on my website. I don't work for a lot of them now, but I still do work for a few of them. Like the Canadian Football League, the American Hockey League. I've done some work for Zippo, Molson, CFNY. Oh man, there's a lot of Fortune 500 companies I used to work for, a lot. But I don't work for them anymore because I'm completely independent now. I will never again in this lifetime have a paycheck where I slave to the grind, wake up, shower up, shave, grunt, complain, complain while I'm on the road and do what I'm told like a good little sheep. That's never going to be me again. I'm the boss now, and that's how it's going to stay. All right. For those who have hit me up on the on my website, the fastest way to get that consultation with me is to simply register for a consultation on my site. You got to do it, folks. You got to get onto my site, grab yourself a consultation. I mean, yeah, that's how I get paid. But instead of just asking some arbitrary question in email, which, quite frankly, folks, I don't have time for all the time. My email box is pretty full. I mean, at 14 hours per day already, I still am not getting to every email in my email box. We got to rifle through and select everything that is money making, followed by everything that's legal, followed by everything that we know to be urgent, followed by finally the ones where it's just a question from someone that we don't know. And we can't always get to all of them. So please grab yourself that consultation. Bella, love to do your taxes for you. Jump over to my website, grab that consultation, please. Jessica says, I have not filed taxes in 4 years. I don't know if I will owe money or get money. Yeah, we never really know until I know what your tax file is like. Like, are you on a T4? Are you on a T4A? Have you ever declared T5s, which you should never do? Are you completely independent? Are you writing everything off that you're legally allowed to write off? I mean, these are all the very big questions that I need to have answered. All of them. All right. Do you have to repay a shareholder's loan? No, man, no. You should never declare a shareholder's loan. Really crappy accountants will say, you can't take money out of your own corporation unless you pay tax on it. What an idiot. It's your corporation. It's your money. Do whatever you want with it. My God. If you want to take money out of your bank as a corporate owner, take it. It's yours. I just put it down as a tax-free corporate withdrawal. That's simple. You want to take money out? There's no tax on that. Don't declare shareholder loans because you got to pay them back with interest. Imagine this is where it gets really ridiculous, right? You got a corporation. It's your money. You earned it all. And then you decide to take a shareholder's loan out. So you give money from the corporation to yourself. And then you don't pay it back at a good amount of time. And then you tell the CRA, hi, CRA, I took a shareholder's loan and I didn't pay it back. The CRA will probably tax you up to 48% on that money. How about this? How about you take the money and shut up? How's that sound? Do whatever you want with it. You made it. They didn't. Spend it your own way. Michelle says, God, where have you been all my life? And she looks kind of cute too. I love it when chicks talk to me like that. You know how to charm a man. All right, who else? So if I file capital gains, I'm snitching on myself? Yeah. Remember the movie Animal Farm? Or even the book Animal Farm? Where the ducks admitted to the pigs that they were helping spy on the pigs. And what did the pigs do? Marched them into a barn and had dogs kill them. All right? Yeah. You don't stitch on yourself. What do you like? Let's say you stole a gumball back in 1977. You going to call the store owner now? Hi, I stole a gumball. Come on, man. No. You got to just stop snitching on yourself. It's nobody's business what your capital gains are, or even that you have them in the first place. Shh, everyone. So, Holy Barbecue, if you want to move $5 million, grab a consultation on my website. I'll help you move $5 million, and no one will ever find it except you. Yeah. So guys, you are allowed to deduct a lot. Yeah. So what's your name? Carlega. You can write off about a third, even almost up to a half of your house. You get a haircut, that's a marketing expense. New glasses, that's also a marketing expense. I think I told you guys the story a few times. We have an OF model. Thank you very much for the likes, sir. We have an OF model. We got her down to Panama. She got breast implants done and stayed in a hotel. We got nursing care for her, the whole 9 yards. The fee was not that high because medical care is cheap here. You can have a private nurse in Panama for between 40 and 60 bucks a day who will tend to you and live in your place the whole time you're getting nursing care from them. And then, of course, because it was all done through my medical company down here, the whole thing ended up, costing her about $80,000, maybe more. And we wrote the whole thing off as marketing. Why? Because an OF chick who has bigger boobs makes more money because there's a lot of simps out there who will give her free money for nothing. Yeah, good for her. I wouldn't date her or any OF model for that matter. And at the same time, I would never visit the website throwing money at chicks I don't know, right? But people do this. It doesn't change the fact that as a businesswoman, no, I'm not telling you who it is. She decided that she wanted to make more money. That's what she did. She got this massive medical expense, but it wasn't medical. It was marketing. All right, there we go. And that's for the guys out there. Stop simping, man. It is ridiculous, man. Stop it. Become men again. Oh, there's a great question right there. Can I store all of my tax files in Panama so if I'm ever audited, they can never require me to hand over my stuff? Oh. Chapter 10 of the Auditor's Handbook states that if someone's tax files are stored outside of Canada, that you have to ask permission from the owner of the files to see them. That would be you. And let's say you say yes. They're going to ask you to cover their plane fare and hotel to get down there and their food. You don't have to say yes to that. But let's say you do. The CRA would still have to talk them or talk me into letting them into my warehouse. And I may or may not have 3 or 4 Rottweilers in there, waiting for them. I may or I may not. But even then, they're not getting on a plane to come to Panama to see your files. So if you ever get audited and I have your files stored in my warehouse in Coronado, Panama, then no, they're never going to see them. What does it cost to store files down here in Panama? There's the shipping fees. It just depends on the size. What we did is that we built shelving in my warehouse and we've color coded them. So the way that we go is we got blue, we got turquoise, and we got red. And if you take the blue square, it's I think $400 a year. If you take 2 of the squares side by side, because we make sure we measure really tightly, it ends up being $700 a year. It's not that much. It's like $1,000 a year to have one full shelf in Panama, completely locked, and there is a security guard there because we store some cool stuff in that place. I'm not going to tell you what, but it's got value. So Colleen Tatum, if you are a financial agent, I would like you to get a hold of me right now on my website. Never mind the DM nonsense on social media here. Please go to my website, kevinjjohnston.com, and tell me that you want to refer clients. And my Lord, I just simply cannot wait to get a hold of you. Do I have storage in Coronado? Yes, Rick. Absolutely, I do. Can anybody here hire me to fix their taxes? Of course you can. It's what I do. It's what my team does. How do you sue the bank, Wes? You sue them, you represent yourself in the lawsuit, and they will most likely settle out of court with you. They'll send a lawyer over to see you at one of their branches. The guy will hand you a check. You sign everything off. You walk out with a check. Can I sue the CRA for you? Well, no, Nikki, I can't file a lawsuit for you, but I can guide you through how you file a lawsuit. Because I can't go to the CRA and say, hey, hi, CRA, there's this really hot chick named Nikki, watches my show, and I'm suing you on her behalf. I can't do that. Now, we'd have to get the lawsuit generated, and you'd have to be the one whose name is on that. But I can guide you through that. Daisy May, your accountant sucks. Yeah, most do. Are sales tax on export of intangible goods zero rated? I'm not sure I understand the question, but if there's sales tax on so there would not be sales tax in Canada if you're exporting the product. No, there wouldn't be. If they do demand that you charge it, then what you have to do is put forward a notice of liability to the CRA, letting them know that they are wrong about the policy that they're trying to enforce. If you're selling product to China, that's rare, but if you're doing it, no, they don't pay HST. Absolutely not. Oh, guys, everybody who knows my website, could you please put it in the chat room right now? My name, Kevin J. Johnston with the T.com. KevinJJohnston.com. Let Kenny know that she wants to jump in here. How much for a consultation? $6.95 right now. Panda, you've been trying to reach me. Are you doing it on my website? Did you book a consultation? Because that's the fastest way to get into the private chat room with me. When I buy corporations, do I take the CRA debt? Hell yeah, I do. Every dollar of it. You'll never have to pay a penny of that once I take the corporation over. Can you criminally charge CRA representatives? Yeah. Yeah, you can. I did a video, 22 videos on TikTok explaining the top 22 crimes these people commit. Yes, absolutely you can. Just reading more of your questions here. I'm trying not to double up on the questions there, folks, because I see a lot of you are asking the same thing. Anthony says or asks, if the crypto I hold skyrockets, do exchanges in Canada rat you out to the government? Yeah, the Canadian ones do. Move your crypto to an American one or stick it onto a hard wallet now. There you go. And if the CRA says that our records show that you have crypto, we send the letter into them saying, no, I don't. That's it. What are your thoughts on reporting RRSP withdrawals? Funny you bring that up because I'm probably about 2-3 months away from being able to have all of you get your RRSPs completely cashed out and not pay a penny of tax on them. I've been working on that for 2 years. I think we finally cracked it. So I'll keep everyone posted on that one. Do I know how to deal with ODSP starting a business? Well, yeah. I mean, I'm the first one to say if you could avoid those idiots, do so. But yes, we do know how to do it. So if I make money from my corporation, do I declare it in your personal income tax? No. What's the point of having a corporation if you're going to be taxing yourself? Absolutely not. If you own a corporation, your personal tax should be zero. Let the corporation pay for your entire life. Do I do taxes for Canadians? Yep, I absolutely do. 99% of our clients are in Canada right now. Rashida Abdi. Can you come on my platform and we can talk about this to a new immigrant here? Sure. Yeah. If you've got yourself a podcast, I go on any podcast I'm invited onto. Absolutely. So when I take over a corporation, I'm basically dissolving your corp. Could be. If the corporation, I judge it to be completely useless, sure. But in many cases, when I'm buying up a corporation that's got plenty of debt on it, I'm holding on to it because I can swap and trade or sell that debt to another corporation elsewhere. Some of our clients make entirely too much money and they're looking for huge write-offs. So what happens here is they can write off a bad investment by buying my debt, or they can write it off as a capital loss. Both are good. And I don't care which one they go with. What can we do about penalties? We wipe out penalties by fixing your taxes. That's how we do it. Okay. Just checking the Rumble room. I think I've answered the majority of these questions so far. Yeah, I have. All right. We're almost out of time here, folks. How do I find out the CRA agent's information to serve them? A couple of ways. The easy one is I have spies in the CRA. You think I don't have some people on freaking payroll? Think about that. And no, I'm never going to tell you who they are. And these people have been absolutely invaluable. And I pay them very well for the information. That's number one. Number two is I send some of my staff out to the CRA parking lots, and we just write down every license plate number in the parking lot, and then we compare them to the database because we work with a couple of cops. Yeah, I do taxes for cops, everyone. And cops can run plates for me. That's how that works. And the other way is I've got a private investigator. If they don't have a car, for example, or we just can't find them, we track them down. There you go. I just divulged some of our secrets. And I love what I do. You know, I kind of do miss the old days when I was in the field doing all that investigative work. Like one of the things I used to do is I would have a video camera. It was a Sony Handycam. So I would open up the screen, flip the screen down, and I would walk holding the camera upside down like this and just walk through the parking lot of wherever I was trying to capture license plates and just very slowly walk past and capture every car in the parking lot. And then I would have one of my secretaries would type in every license plate they saw, and then I would send the list in and pick out all the addresses, and eventually we'd find who we're looking for. You can do this. It's legal. Go ahead and grab license plates in their parking lots. My CRA account was a victim of identity theft. After 3.5 years, the CRA still has my account locked. You mean your actual CRA account? You just got to start doing your taxes on paper and making sure you lose money. If they don't want to cooperate with you, then the hell with them. Oh, if the bank stole your money, you have the statute of limitations of 2 years to sue them. So don't let those 2 years lapse. Kate, if I don't declare tax personally, doesn't this impact my purchasing power for a house? Do you really want to buy a house in Canada? I wouldn't. I've got the money to pay cash for several, and I'm not going to do it. I'm investing in other countries now. But yes, if you have zero down on your taxes, you're not going to get a loan. However, they're only looking at your financial statements, not your taxes. And that's where I get people their loans. So if you want a loan, let me know. Can I take a loan in my company and then sell it to you? Yes. I see what you're asking me. But the loan that your corporation has cannot be personally guaranteed. So yes, we did have someone pulled that stunt. They went and they got themselves a $2 million loan for their business and then sold me the company. And the loan became our responsibility. And Royal Bank has threatened to sue me on that, and thinking, okay, well, you can. Corporation has no assets left. I already liquidated all that. So sure. Yeah. Yes, you can do that. Best way to gift the cottage to your kids, put the cottage into a numbered corporation and add them as a 1% shareholder each. And when you die, they get your shares, and the CRA knows absolutely nothing about it. Colleen, oh, you filled out a link to sell the corporation. A gentleman named Tim is going to get a hold of you, and he'll be doing that through email and most likely a phone call. When you're talking to him, he speaks perfect English, white dude, deep voice, hell of a guy. You'll be talking with him. If you need to speak with me, Tim can arrange that, and the two of us can answer any of your questions. If you have larger losses in your business that you want to transfer against your employment income, is it better to paper file? Yeah. Yes. If you're going to be doing that kind of stunt, yes, absolutely. Canola Girl, I'm not entirely sure what you're asking me here. Could you please rephrase that question? Holy smoke. No wonder I can't keep my eyes open. It's 20 after 11. Holy smoke, everybody. What a day. OTF, if the government is opening a search in your company because of salary, You're under no obligation to answer their questions. If the government is asking you questions about your payroll or anything else, just tell them, talk to my lawyer. If they show up at your office, call the cops. Just say, I've got someone here harassing my staff. Get them out of here. And the cops will show up. So Canola Girl, sorry. Canola, did you get a consultation? Is that why you're asking me that? I'm a little fuzzy on why you're asking me that. Jack, what if I got over 600K in BTC, haven't touched since 2019, any way to offset the capital gains? Yes. Make me your tax guy. You'll pay zero. That's a fact. How do you get a loan? Peeing my 2 tax in my company. What? Could you rephrase that, please? I don't recall peeing on anyone's corporation. Thank you. Does the amount you pay for the consultation come off the price to do taxes in the year? Well, Logan, there's been a couple times where people have paid for a half-hour consultation, and we identified the entire tax problem in 5 minutes, and then they just agreed to the price inside of 5 minutes. So if the consultation's 5 minutes, then no, I'm not going to make you pay for it. I would take the price and put it into your invoice. I would certainly do that. But that's not common. Most people's tax problems require the full half hour to go through. So we judge it as we talk to each individual client. Do you have to disclose your marital status? Nope. Don't ever tell anybody about that. If you're married, nobody should know but you and your spouse. Whew. All right, everyone. We got to the end of it. I cannot keep my eyes open. As you know, I get up at 5 every day, and it's now 11:22 p.m. I want to say thank you all very much for being here tonight. There's been a lot of really amazing questions and a lot of great people here bringing to my attention a lot of problems that are very interesting. And so far as it stands, there's not been a single solitary problem that I could not find an answer to. I love to research. Thank you, Joseph. I appreciate it. I love researching and I love winning. I despise losing. And I hate the CRA more than anyone who has ever existed. Hire my hate, everyone, and you're never going to pay tax again. My name is Kevin J. Johnston. This is the Tax and Money Show that runs every single solitary Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on freedomreport.ca. I love you all, and good night.